assumed that was the case from the beginning. I assume it because I reflexively disbelieve everything this administration says. Also because a Griner or no one offer from Russia makes it easier on the White House. Russia would actually be doing the White House a favor by saying, we'll give you her or we'll give you nobody. Because it just makes it a simpler choice. But Russia's not interested in making things easier. It puts Biden in a more precarious and politically difficult situation to make him choose which American he wants. And so it just makes logical sense that Russia would prefer to put him in that situation. Especially because they likely knew that he would humiliate himself and his country by extension by choosing the lesbian basketball player over the Marine.
Running that jail in Russia. She was running it.
Matt Walsh just dropped a bombshell, claiming he's got locker room footage of Britteny Griner that he says exposes exactly what people have been whispering about her for years. This isn't the topless pool videos floating around online. This is something totally different. Walsh swears this one shows everything, and if it's real, it could not only crush her career, but drag the WNBA, the NBA, and even the White House into a scandal they'll never shake off. He's been hinting at this since the day she was traded for Victor Bout, the infamous Merchant of End, saying her whole situation never made sense.
We have got to find a body on Reese. Clark gets freed up from up top for Clark as well. And you see this screen, on-ball screen, and Allen between the legs.
Now he's calling this clip the proof he's been waiting to unleash. If he's not bluffing, this isn't just about Griner anymore. It's about the entire system that shielded her from scrutiny. You already know her release was one of the most controversial prisoner swaps in modern times. She got flown home before Paul Whelan, a Marine stuck in Russia, and before Mark Fogel, an American teacher barely anyone even talked about, while the U.S. still handed over Victor Bout, one of the scariest arms dealers alive. People are still replaying that swap moment in disbelief. Britteny Griner walking free while veterans and teachers were left behind. And this is exactly why Walsh says the math never added up. On his show, he flat out accused the White House of bending over backwards to protect the WNBA's biggest star at all costs. Losing Griner, he says, would have left the league without its headline name, and that's why he believes the White House caved, backlash or not. Listen to how Matt Walsh lays it all out.
Let's welcome the night official. Make her second of all
calling out the Biden administration for making a deal that he says never made sense. He claims this so-called new footage is the missing puzzle piece, the reason Britteny Griner seemed untouchable through everything, and why the government might have been protecting more than just a basketball player. Before this clip even hit the internet, Walsh had been hammering the same point, that the league has always treated Griner differently. Other athletes got punished hard for less. Remember Sha'Carri Richardson, banned over a cannabis violation. Serena Williams, dragged across the headlines just for wearing a catsuit. Even WNBA players got slapped with fines for tiny uniform violations. And we're not even talking about anything wild. There's footage of WNBA players getting fined just for wearing "Pay Us What You Owe" shirts during a protest over low salaries. Just for speaking up.
And as you may expect, it's got a lot of people asking the same question. Is that really a she? Now that I think about it, it kind of makes sense that when she was in Russia, that they decided to put her in a men's prison.
But Griner, she protested the national anthem, still became the league's top marketing face, and got the biggest sponsor push the WNBA could ever land. Walsh says that's not star treatment, that's protection. He claims she's the one player keeping the league alive, even when everything around her sparks controversy. And now things have flipped from quiet whispers to full-blown panic. Walsh insists he's not talking about those old leaks or the blurry pool clips everyone's seen. He says this footage is something entirely different, something that, in his words, leaves zero doubt about Griner's gender. Everyone already knows those rumors have been floating around for years, but nothing ever stuck. Now Walsh claims this clip changes everything. He's staying tight-lipped about what's actually on it, but fans online are already spiraling.
We're immediately suspicious about the reasoning behind this decision. This was especially the case given the fact that other Americans like former Marine Paul Whelan, schoolteacher Mark Fogel, were left to languish in Russian labor camps while the basketball player was brought home.
Some saying it's a hidden shower recording, others guessing it's from a team locker room. And since Walsh hasn't dropped the footage yet, everyone's on edge wondering, is he building hype or is he waiting for the perfect moment to blow it all up? One fan even broke it down on TikTok, saying this whole situation suddenly makes more sense because Brittany was placed in a male prison while in Russia, a detail fans think the league's been avoiding like the plague. Over on Reddit, people are saying if this footage is real, the WNBA can't hide behind silence anymore. Some even believe Walsh is saving the release to line up with the WNBA playoffs, just to make maximum impact. That's what makes this whole thing explosive. The craziest part? Walsh holding on to that video might be the only thing keeping the league from addressing the rumors directly, because the second he drops it, this stops being gossip and turns into a national scandal. And that's where things get dangerous, because Walsh holding that footage doesn't just make Griner the target, it puts the entire WNBA on notice. Before we even get into what this means for Brittany personally, here's the bigger picture. The league is panicking. She's not just another player, she's the face of the WNBA. Besides Caitlin Clark, nobody carries more weight right now. The Russia return, the White House visits, the redemption speeches, every marketing deal and every major highlight reel for the past 2 years has revolved around her. Just watch this, that emotional interview Brittany gave right after coming home, breaking down in tears and talking about resilience. That's the image the league has pushed nonstop. The comeback hero, the fighter, the face of hope. But if she gets exposed now, all of that starts looking like a setup. And when fans feel like they've been lied to, they don't just forgive and move on, they explode. And it gets worse.
Does the White House have any indication that this negotiation is foundational and or could lead to greater communication with Russia up to and including about Ukraine?
So look, this release culminated after an extraordinary amount of hard work by many people just across the U.S. government, as I just laid out early on, and our national security team. Obviously, it was about securing Brittany's release, pure and simple. That's what this was about. That's what this particular action was about. As we've stated numerous occasions, the U.S. government engaged with Russian government through every available channel to bring Griner and Paul Whelan home.
If she's been competing in a women's league without meeting the gender requirements, the fallout could be brutal. Lawsuits would fly instantly, from players who lost bonuses because of her dominance, to teams that missed championships, to sponsors that poured millions into her image. They'd all be demanding payback, and the second those sponsors pull out to protect their reputations, those shiny new TV deals the WNBA just locked in, gone overnight. But this isn't just about money anymore, it's about politics. The WNBA didn't just market Brittany as a star athlete, they made her a symbol. The White House personally got involved in bringing her home, turning her into a national story of perseverance and redemption. If this story blows up, critics won't just aim at the league, they'll come for the government, saying the truth was buried on purpose. That's when the hearings start, the headlines explode, and the WNBA finds itself in a political storm it can't possibly win. Even the White House's own press briefings from back then show how invested they were in Griner's case. You can hear it in Karine Jean-Pierre's voice, how much this moment meant to the administration. But now that same moment could come back to haunt them if the video turns out to be real. And don't forget the locker room angle. If the footage is real, players won't just be shocked, they'll be furious. Some could argue they were put at risk playing against her. Just look at this. Rookie Sonia Citron nails a three-pointer only to get completely flattened by 6'9" Britteny Griner. Clips like that could be Exhibit A in a wave of legal chaos that hits harder than any game foul. If it turns out league executives actually knew and hid this, boycotts, mass walkouts, and stars demanding Kathy Engelbert's resignation wouldn't just be possible, they'd be almost guaranteed.
Smart, unselfish basketball by Washington. And Griner is going to get called for a foul. Citron took a heavy hit on that screen.
The trust between players and the league office would implode overnight. And the worst part? The cover-up. If Walsh really has this footage, everyone will assume the league knew first. If Engelbert or anyone in leadership buried it, that's not just a scandal. That's lawsuits, investigations, and the end of multiple careers at the very top of the WNBA. Because once fans believed they were lied to about Brittany, every other controversy they brushed off, the favoritism, the questionable officiating, even the Candace Parker payout rumors, all of it would come roaring back to life. Suddenly, the WNBA stops looking like a rising brand and starts looking like a rigged, corrupt operation. And here's the twist nobody's ready for. Walsh holding onto this clip might not just be about exposing Brittany, it might be leverage. And honestly, that could be the only reason he hasn't pulled the trigger yet. Think about it. Dropping it now would torch everything instantly, sure. But holding it? That makes Matt Walsh the most dangerous man in women's basketball right now. And here's what fans are whispering online. Walsh could be bleeding the league behind the scenes. If he knows this footage is their worst nightmare, then he knows they'll do whatever it takes to keep it buried. That could mean hush money, insider access, or even executives quietly feeding him other dirt just to stop this clip from ever going public. Why burn his one nuclear bomb when he can make the league sweat and possibly trade it for something even bigger? Just listen to him here. He straight up called the Griner swap a stupid move, saying she hadn't even been held that long compared to others. It's comments like that that have fans convinced Walsh is baiting the league while holding something even bigger. The longer this drags out, the more people feel like something's happening behind the scenes. Fans online are already saying the silence is loud and calling out the too many coincidences to ignore. If the WNBA suddenly starts bending to Walsh on other scandals or narratives, it won't take long before people start connecting the dots. Fast.
It is true. The trade is still scandalously stupid, but it becomes a scandal of an entirely different level if it is.
But there's another angle nobody can ignore. Walsh might be timing this for maximum destruction. Dropping it on a random Tuesday might get clicks, sure, but dropping it during the WNBA finals or the same week Caitlin Clark headlines a record-breaking game, that would cripple the league in real time. It's the kind of bomb you save for a moment when it can't be ignored, not when it can get buried under other news. Just picture it, a packed arena for the Caitlin Clark versus, Angel Reese showdown, fans everywhere, cameras flashing, media in a frenzy, and boom, Walsh drops it right then. The league wouldn't be able to hide it, dodge it, or spin it. It'd explode straight onto the front page of every outlet in the country. And holding this footage doesn't just build tension, it pulls more people out of the shadows. Former execs, ex-players, even current stars who felt sidelined for Brittany might finally start talking, knowing someone already has proof in hand. That's when one leak turns into a full-blown takedown, with multiple voices, multiple angles, and no easy way out for the league. Plus, everyday Walsh waits gives the WNBA more room to slip up. If they panic and start dropping vague statements, overhyping Brittany in promos, or, worse, trying to threaten Walsh behind the scenes, it only proves his point and digs them in deeper. And every time the league slips up, it just hands Walsh more ammo. If this footage ever drops, if it drops, every misstep the WNBA made in the meantime will only make fans believe him even more.
Britteny Griner is a man. Well, come on now. This is another conspiracy situation, but you see this picture. No shirt. It's apparently an old photo.
But here's the wildest part. There's a quiet theory floating around TikTok and Reddit that Walsh might not even plan to release it at all. Some think he's waiting for the right payout or backroom deal to hit his table. Whether it's a buyout to bury the footage or a controlled leak through a major outlet, just teasing it keeps him trending, keeps the league terrified, and keeps him out of any legal fire. What makes it worse? He could be waiting for the perfect setup. If Brittany scores another major endorsement, or if the league doubles down on using her face for a women's empowerment campaign, imagine Walsh dropping the clip right after. That would shatter every narrative, destroy any defense, and make it impossible for them to spin it as old or irrelevant. That's why Walsh's silence might actually be more dangerous than the footage itself. Every day he stays quiet, the tension builds, sponsors are sweating, players are restless, and fans are dissecting every league statement like it's some secret code. Everyone's watching, waiting, wondering, what's next? And let's not forget, Brittany's release from Russia wasn't just a sports story. This went straight to the top. The previous administration and top White House officials made sure she came home, even while Paul Whelan, the Marine, and Mark Fogel, an American teacher, were left behind in Russian cells. Yet they still traded her for Victor Bout, one of the world's most dangerous arms dealers. Walsh keeps hammering that point. that there were Americans who'd been locked up way longer than Brittany, and that deal still went through. To him, that's proof that something deeper was at play, something that could turn this from a controversy into a full-blown political scandal.
Exposure that you gave me, my family, to get me home. I really appreciate it. That coverage was much needed.
So what do you think? Is Walsh bluffing or sitting on the biggest leak women's sports has ever seen? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like, smash that subscribe, share this with the crew, and stay tuned. Because if that footage ever drops, the internet's gonna melt down. Back then, they sold it as a diplomatic win, a heartwarming story of perseverance and redemption. But if this clip ever drops, that entire narrative flips upside down. The heat won't just burn the WNBA, it'll scorch the government too. Critics will come out swinging, saying the administration chose to protect a basketball star over veterans and teachers, and maybe even hid the truth about who they traded for just to make it happen. And you already know how it goes when politicians smell blood. Chaos follows fast. If this clip goes public, it would hand every critic in Congress the ammo they've been waiting for. They'd be demanding hearings, dragging league executives into depositions, and digging into every move that led to Brittany's release. Suddenly, it's not just a sports scandal anymore, it's a government scandal. That's when everything turns, because once it looks like DC was complicit, this stops being about one player or one league. It becomes proof of how far people in power will bend rules and twist stories just to protect a brand, even if it means hiding the truth from the public.
How have you found the resilience personally to be here with us?
You know, I'm no stranger to hard times, so. See you cry, then you made me cry.
Right now, everyone tied to this, the league, the sponsors, and even folks in DC are just holding their breath, waiting to see if Matt Walsh really presses play, because the moment he does, the whole system could go up in flames. Walsh hasn't posted the full thing. He hasn't denied it's real. He hasn't said a word, just silence. And every single day that silence drags on, the panic gets worse. Because if he actually drops this clip, it's not just Brittany who's done. The WNBA could get slammed with a scandal it might never crawl out of. The NBA could get dragged right into it. And the people who signed off on that Russia swap, they'd be staring straight down the crosshairs too. Now it's not even about if he's gonna leak it, and it's about when. And what else he's holding that nobody's seen yet. Because if Walsh isn't bluffing, the second he drops this, it won't just be Brittany watching her career go up in flames. It could be the WNBA, the NBA, and even some of the biggest names in Washington watching everything burn at once. What do you think? Is this all hype? Or is Walsh really sitting on the biggest bombshell women's sports has ever seen? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, smash subscribe, share this with the crew, and stay tuned, because if this clip ever drops, you won't want to miss the next one.